So our last session of the day is an institutional research data management service development and support roundtable. So we thought today we would bring together some research data management service providers and talk about some of the services we offer, as well as some of the challenges that we have faced and continue to face in the what's the word I'm looking for? When you give somebody something. When you provide provision with the provision of those services. It's been a long day. So we have a bunch of great people on our panel today. So we've got Tatiana Zaraiskaya. Sorry if I butchered your name there, Tatiana, who is a STEM librarian from the University of New Brunswick. We've got Kim Mears, who is the Health Sciences and Scholarly Communications librarian from the University of Prince Edward Island. We've got Erin McPherson, who's the Research Data Management Librarian at Dalhousie University. Jasmine Hoover, who's the Scholarly Resources Librarian at Cape Breton University. Peter Webster, the Associate University Librarian and Information Technology Services Academic Support, or of Information Technology Services Academic Support. Sorry, that's a very long title, Peter, from St. Mary's University. And we've got Sandra Sawchuk, who is the User Experience and Engagement Librarian at Mount St. Vincent University. So we'll start off with maybe asking each of you, what services do you provide? So perhaps we'll start with you, Peter, in terms of research data management. What services do you provide? Oh, you're still muted there, Peter.
I managed to get the camera on, but not the microphone. Is that better? You can hear me now? Good stuff. Okay, yeah, have managed to hear some wonderful stuff today. Haven't been able to sit in for as much as I would have liked, but you know, we are offering, you know, basic research data management services. We have a you know, a library technician who is devoted to helping people draft their research data management plans. And of course, we're using the RDM assistant to do that. But there's more that goes into that when people bring us, you know, a data project, and we do not have a large number of them, but we'll talk about that in the challenges portion. You know, the first service that we offer is you know, is an environmental scan and a, you know, and some discussion about what's the right metadata. You know, so often that begins by taking a look at their disciplinary, you know, is there a disciplinary standard for storing data, and can we use that? And, you know, can we figure out, we've had several Darwin Core projects recently where people were working in botany and biology. And, you know, we had to get up to speed. Our metadata librarian, you know, Amy Lorenz has been excellent at, you know, helping people develop, you know, what sort of metadata standard are we going to use? You know, drafting the research data management plans is, you know, it sort of comes after that. We are operating a very basic, you know, Dataverse, SMU Dataverse at this point. And at this point, we're piggybacking on Dalhousie. So a shout out and a thank you to Erin and Dalhousie. We will be transitioning to Dataverse Canada as soon as we can, and we are involved in, you know, in the development of Dataverse Canada. But other services that I want to talk about just a little bit, moving away from the creation of data. Often when people come to us, the first thing they need before they can create their own data is someone else's shareable data. That's easy if it's Statistics Canada. It's not so easy if they need province of Nova Scotia, or for that matter, another province's data so that they can, you know, attach their data sets to it. So shareable and reusable is, you know, one of the FAIR principles. And often our role has been in helping people get data that can be shared with them so that they can, you know, that they can provide, you know, their research gets attached to it. We've done a lot of that work. That's a matter of developing a relationship with provincial data agencies and bringing them up to speed on FAIR principles. Sometimes that's a step-by-step process of getting government agencies and sometimes private agencies to, you know, to let you use data, you know, let researchers use data. License negotiation has certainly been part of that, because often government starts out with quite restricted licenses, and as they work with researchers more, they discover the benefits of researchers having access to their data. and they discover that the risks of it, going, getting wild, and their first thought is often, can they generate revenue from their data? And you discover that training a whole bunch of more people to know about your data and know the value of it is a better way to generate revenue than simply, charging so much that nobody uses your data. We've also, been involved with buying data sets for people, and these are private data sets. Same situation, that often the first step in research is getting someone else's data, and that's another licensing function that we've been quite involved with. So, but that's enough from me.
Great, thanks very much. Maybe Sandra, would you like to go next?
Hi, thanks, Alison. Just want to say it's so great to see you all, for one. We've just all been working from home. So yeah, I'm from Mount St. Vincent University. I'm also the data librarian there. And I mean, as you all know, we're a really small institution. So what we have to offer is definitely on a much smaller scale. And I would say we are still quite early on in the process of formalizing our RDM policy and strategy document at the university level, though this is beginning to happen at the Mount, which is really, really great. So we're in the process of, really coming up with the workflows and the templates and the strategies that will work for the researchers that we have at the Mount, because we do offer quite a few programs that have the potential or already do create a large amount of data. When it comes to the services that I provide, really, they're super ad hoc. We don't have any formalized service provision at this point. Thankfully, I'm sitting on some of these national committees, like the Portage Curation Expert Group, and that really helps me push people in the right direction. So some of the most rewarding work that I've done in RDM at the Mount has really been speaking to undergraduate and graduate level classes about data curation and about best practices in data management. I recently spoke to an honors psychology class and just took them through the whole beginning to end RDM spiel. And it was incredible, because I know that not only had these students probably not heard most of what I had to say, but that it's really planting a seed in them that will make my work much, much easier in the future, when they become research gatherers. So it was really great to give that presentation. I also do just advise scholars on best practices, places for data storage, and data management plans. I mean, we're also lucky to have the DMP builder that was developed. So it's really easy for me to, offer that as a tool. So it's been really great to use that. And as Peter said, the Mount is also planning on signing on to this exciting new Dataverse project. So kudos to everyone who's been doing so much hard work on that. And now these fruits are really coming to bear, I guess. So we're definitely planning on signing on to that. And I believe that when we sign on to that, that my work is going to really, really increase exponentially in a positive way. So the small player definitely is the Mount, but we're really happy to be on board with all of you in this region, and look to you and see what you're doing, and then copy you. So that's what I have to say.
Thanks, Sandra. Maybe we'll switch provinces now and go to Tatiana at UNB.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So in terms of the services that we offer, I don't think we are offering anything like so different from any other institution. It's there are a lot of similarities what we do. However, there are probably some minor differences. For example, at UNB, we don't have a dedicated person who offer RDM services. We have a team of people who work together to offer their expertise. And we have 3 people who are on the front row who answer all the questions about RDM, and they are GIS librarian Siobhan Hanratty, Mike Nason, Scholar Publishing, Scholar Communication librarian, and myself, Tatiana Zaraiskaya, STEM librarian. We also have our own instance of Dataverse. And of course, any UNB researcher can deposit data, and DOI will be assigned once their data set are published. UNB Dataverse is managed by Center for Digital Scholarship at UNB Libraries, and we see it as a huge advantage. We're very lucky having these people on board who provide all the infrastructure support and management of the Dataverse. There's a lot of discussions about whether Dataverse whether we need to join the national Dataverse or keep our own instance of Dataverse. In the case of UNB, we don't have immediate, we don't see it as an immediate request to send the national Dataverse for several reasons. And one of them is because we deal with the data set that need to be hosted in this province for privacy reasons. And therefore, there's a huge advantage having our own instance, and we can offer an immediate service to the researcher who deal with this type of data sets. Of course, we provide the assistance in writing data documentation and preparing metadata for data archiving and depositing data to Dataverse. We also facilitate access to FRDR, FURDR, Federated Research Data Repository that Jeff was talking about in the morning. And this is of particular interest to those researchers, of course, who deal with their big data sets. Because as we all know, Dataverse has its limitation, 2 GB per file. There is no limitation in terms of the number of files, but anything beyond the 2 GB need to go to a different repository, and further that's the solution. We offer help in writing data management plan, and we use DMP Assistant. 3 years ago, we came up with an initiative. We started to offer library workshops for graduate students, and we called it Graduate Essentials for Academic Research, or GEAR. So as part of this GEAR session, we offer RDM. We talk about RDM the fundamentals of RDM, such as FAIR principles, fair care principles, why sharing data is important, where to share data. We see it as the great foundation, but it is also important to provide researchers with the practical directions, what they can do to make data fair. Therefore, we're about to offer the hands-on workshops on publishing data in Dataverse, and another workshop on writing data management plan using DMP Assistant tool. I also want to mention that last year we administered research data management survey at UNB, where we asked researchers about their practices and their data management skills and how they share data at the moment. And I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, that our response rate was pretty high. We received 18.6% response rate with lots of comments, and all of the comments were very positive. Lots of researchers, including grad students, left their emails, and we're currently in the process of analyzing how we're going to deal with all this feedback and how we can respond to this, and what kind of services we can offer to make it relevant to our community. So I also want to mention that we started in 2018, we started to do our own UNB Research Data Management Day. And it was, again, very pleasantly surprised. We all were very pleasantly surprised to see a lot of attendees. So we planned our second data day in 2019 for April. And 2 weeks before the event hit COVID hit us pretty hard, so we had to postpone it. Anyway, this is what I wanted to mention in terms of the services. Yeah, I think that would be it from me.
Great, thanks very much. And let's go over to UPEI and let's hear what Kim has to say.
Sure. So I just want to share my screen for a minute just to kind of go over our website that we have. So this is data.upei.ca. I will take no credit for creating this. This was here when I came to UPEI. So they were pretty far ahead when I came. But basically, we have this website, and it offers a lot of services. It was created in collaboration with our Office of Research. But basically, you can see with the icons at the top, we have data management planning. So once you sign in, you are presented with a DMP like assist tool to help you go through the process. We also offer a workspace within it, which means that there is a file sharing software called PIDEO or PIDEO. I'm not sure if anybody's heard of that, but it provides a space for people to put their data, not active data, and more like data that they want to access from the cloud or something that they're ready to either publish or archive. So we offer publishing that is public, and then archiving is private. So if you wanted to get stuff off of your local desktop and put it into here, but not make it public, you can do that. So I'll show you by signing in with my account. So you can see that you have some data management plans or collaborations. You can also look at deposited data sets. If you open up your workspace, then it takes you to this software where I have files that I've put in here. So I currently use this as my cloud software and kind of like a backup to my files on my computer. But this is what it would look like. And then if I wanted to publish my data, I could right click on the file. Oh, it refreshed. And this is where we would go into sharing the data. So this is what pushes it into, or this is sharing. We need to go to, sorry, export to publish or archive. This is what actually puts it into the Islandora software. So this is where, you know, you start filling out the information of what you want to ingest. So this is our main platform for research data management. However, we do also offer what we call a VRE, or virtual research environment, which is basically a website. So this is a fun one that we have that's tracking like coyote or fox sightings on the island. And so this is a way, so we build a website for the front facing, but then also it's collecting data, like you saw a fox and you would put it in here. So it's collecting data on the back end. So this is a Drupal and Islandora put together. And I will say that VREs are managed by another librarian. However, I am involved with our data.upei. So this kind of project is with another librarian, Kelty McPhail, at our institution. So we have, I wouldn't say, but you know, two of us, but because it's only a portion of my job, it falls underneath the scholarly communications. Like all of us, we have so many different things within our portfolios. But basically, here's another one. This is research and singing, and you can see there's a back end, and it's basically another research environment. So those are just two of the examples that we have for our virtual research environments. But our main place for data management is this website. So that's what I have to share.
Great. Thanks very much, Kim. Okay, and we'll go up to Cape Breton maybe. And Jasmine, can you tell us a little bit about your services?
Sure. Way to make me go after UPEI.
Sorry.
That's okay. So here at CVU, we're also quite small. So our services really rely on the national initiatives, mostly from Portage, but also Scholars Portal Dataverse. For our institutional strategy, we did create a small working group before the COVID shutdown, and that was orgs. So that's our Office of Research, and one faculty member from each school and me, and we kind of used the Portage template and modified it a bit to fit CBU. It went up to provost, and I haven't heard back, although I am told that it is one of the priorities for next year in our academic plan. So hopefully we have a good draft at least for them to work with. Here at the library, it's not actually in anybody's job profile, so I've kind of taken the lead on training for research data management. We offer training and support for creating data management plans, and of course, we're using Portage for that. I also help people on best practices, data formats, all that kind of stuff. And the new DMP repository that's coming up that'll let other researchers look at various DMPs from across Canada, I think will be a really useful tool for us. For data sharing and retention, we are part of Scholars Portal Dataverse. We only have a few data sets up there so far, but I think as soon as the tri-agency pushes out their rules, we're going to be a lot busier. So I've had some good practice with that so far. And yeah, my basic message is that for smaller universities, Portage and national initiatives have really allowed us to keep up as far as supports go for RDM. We're really, really thankful for all the work that's been done. And also being a part of the working groups has been really useful for me. It's taught me a lot, and also I'm able to kind of relay that to the research office and to researchers, all the new things coming down the pipe. So I think it's just a great initiative, and we're really, really thankful as a small institution to be able to be part of these initiatives.
Thanks so much. And last but not least, Erin from Dalhousie University.
I think you have to go too, don't you? I'm joking. Second last. So we do offer similar services to everybody else, I think. I started about, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And I would say one of the services we offer is our contributions to the national level. When I first started, you know, there were a lot of things that needed to be done, and I saw that these were just starting to get developed nationally. And I thought, you know what, I should be involved here because it's only going to help me at my local level, and I can have, you know, a voice in that and help shape the service. And I'm also cognizant of our size. We, you know, we're big Val, but we're not that big across Canada. And I'm from NSAC that merged with Dal, so I'm very aware of being in that small arena, and you know, not everyone has the same resources. Even at Dal, we're moving to more of a team-based approach, which is fantastic because it's getting busier, and so having other people involved has been really helpful. So I think one of the services we have is contributing to, you know, nationally to developing the service, and also regionally. I think that's so key because, you know, we can't do it alone, and we're all moving towards the same thing. The other thing we do is provide data management guidance with respect to planning. So we utilize the data management planning assistant, the DMP assistant. We do workshops, consultations, training sessions. We're trying to get into classes. We've been in a few of them now. We had some good feedback actually the other day about, you know, this needs to be taught, and it does. It needs to be not just by us, but in the curriculum. So it's so important. So, you know, we've got that on board. You know, hopefully people will find value in what we do. It's not just, you know, you have to do it. It's good management. You know, being prepared is always a good thing. There's no disadvantages to having a plan. It might change, but, you know, that's part of it. So we do provide support in that also. We do have data repositories. So we have a local repository. Currently, it's not active. We've migrated to Scholars Portal. We've been big advocates for supporting the national Dataverse. It's great. Scholars Portal is you know, they provide a great service. They're at the latest and greatest level. You know, we're still looking at whether, you know, the the status of our local service, but currently right now we're using the Scholars Portal. We've migrated our published data sets and redirecting them. And we have more people looking to publish all the time. I would say that the questions we get are, some people are ready to publish now, but others are like, I'm gonna have to publish in the future. So, okay, good, you have this service. So, so this is kind of what we've been seeing. The other thing, you know, we again, I think, act as liaisons, you know, because we don't have just one person assigned at Dal as RDM. There's a few of us that have it in our job descriptions or who participate. We are liaisons and connectors. I like to see myself as a connector, like, oh, I may not know the answer, but I'll connect you with this person. I'm not the expert here, but I'll connect you with this person. So I think we're getting a better, one of the services we're providing is getting that news out there that the library does have some expertise, and we are building relationships with the different organizations on campus. And there was one, oh, this is what I was going to say. One really exciting thing, well, two exciting things. I wouldn't say it's a service so much, is developing the institutional strategies, more of a requirement. So we've been successful, you know, in doing that. But one of the services we do provide is to the REBs, the Research Ethics Board. And we do have librarians on the Social Sciences Ethics Board and on the Health Ethics Board. So I got to give credit. I think this is Donna, who somehow this magic happened, and we have librarians on the REBs, so they can give advice and guidance to some RDM guidance on RDM. Sorry, that's what I meant. So that's probably the you know, some of the things we're doing. It's not really much different than most institutions. Again, we have other services available, and again, and they become new to me all the time. Like, to me, Dal is very big, and especially where I'm based in Truro, you know, there's many different. There's ITS, there's ATS, there's Health has their own IT system. So okay, they offer this data service, they offer this space, and so you know, we're getting used to all the services that are offered at Dal and what they can be used for. So that's what we're doing.
Thanks very much, Erin. So that was great. So there's a lot of services that are being offered across the Atlantic provinces. MUN offers many of the same services. You know, come talk to me if you want any RDM services. Or just the moderator. I'm not speaking too much. But I think the meat of this panel too is to talk about some challenges that we faced. So I'm thinking in just being cognizant of time and the fact that people may want to ask some questions of the panelists. Maybe each panelist could talk just a little bit about one challenge that you've come up with or come across, and try to talk about a different challenge than the people previous, if possible. By the time we get to the last person, there may not be any more challenges. I don't know. So how about this time? We can start with Kim. I'm just picking random people.
All right, I'm gonna get an easy one then. I won't go for the obvious time one, because that's all of us. But I think that one of the biggest challenges I've found is just engaging our faculty, because you know, one of the things that I started doing when I first came was like, you know, I'm gonna actually go back to one of my projects and start looking at the data that we pulled and see how we can put it in the repository and just like share the data from a survey that we did. And it is really time consuming to do all of this, especially when you didn't do it in the project with data management in mind, even though we're librarians. So I'll admit that it's 3 years later and I still haven't put it in our repository because it's always on the back burner. So I think the challenge is having people invest the time and effort to actually deposit their data into our repository.
That's a great one. Getting them to understand the importance that they should put the time in. Yeah. Okay, how about Jasmine?
Yes, is my volume better now?
Yes, much better, thanks.
Okay, perfect. Our biggest challenge at CBU is definitely sensitive data and data storage and active research data storage. We don't have any kind of research focused IT support at our university at all. So most of our researchers rely on purchased external drives or using OneDrive to share their data with other colleagues. So definitely for us, it is the technical support and the actual infrastructure for that kind of data.
Awesome, thank you. That's a huge one here at Memorial as well. Okay, how about Tatiana?
Hi, can you see and hear me now? Wonderful. I actually highlighted several challenges and the panelists already read all my challenges, I think. And because I have to pick one, and 2 or 3 of them already been mentioned, which are also challenges at UNB, by the way, I'm gonna say that there's a challenge to, also it is very time consuming to develop a meaningful service that will be relevant to our researchers. And this is what I think when I talk about this. There is a lot of guidelines developed by Portage, and we're extremely helpful and lucky having Portage on board and having all this level of support. But the challenge for us that we need to take those guidelines, toolkits, and we cannot just adopt it. We need to develop our own workflow that first of all fits the structure of their library, and also, like I said, being relevant to our institutions. So we need to find who will be responsible for doing what. So we need to assign roles and responsibilities, and this linked to the first challenge of human resources and the time, because we're doing all these research data management services on top of our other duties that we do. So this is a challenge that we understand that we need to implement and use the guidelines and policies and do all these and adhere to all these new best practices, but it is a challenge to develop the workflow that fits our goals, that fits our structure and will be relevant to the researchers, and it is time. If that's clear what I meant by that. But I believe all librarians are on board about it. Yes, it is a challenge, yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
There's no such a thing like one size fits all.
No, absolutely not. It's, yeah, developing things for different institutions and even for different disciplines is time consuming for sure. Okay, how about Sandra? What's your big challenge?
Yes, we are facing all of the same challenges, but I think the biggest challenge, I guess for me personally at the Mount, is I'm the only one who is doing any of this at all. The other librarians are just not engaged. They have we all have a billion things to do in the Atlantic provinces, but this is kind of like, oh, Sandra does the data. So any and all requests for information or for presentations or whatever advice come to me. And, it would be cool if there was more of a team-based approach that we could adopt, but it's very difficult because my colleagues are also doing things that I just don't do and maybe I'm not interested in doing. So it's nothing against them at all. We're very small, and but I feel a little concerned about, as things go on and when the policy finally comes out, how can we actually have a service model that is doable? What does that look like in terms of cost? If it's kind of like, if researchers do get on board, and right now another challenge is that they're not really on board, but when they do, I mean, what happens with the ability of the library to kind of meet that need? And I mean, these are things that are whole university problems, and we need to kind of work together. But thankfully, the policy institutionally for us is coming. But yeah, I see Jazz nodding because I know that it's happening to you too over there. So yeah, being a one-person show can be scary.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of institutions are in that same boat. And not even that it's only one person. It might only be, 50, 20% of that one person's time. So that's a lot. We have all of these responsibilities. What can we drop to take on more? But all these other ones are important too. So it's that balancing. Peter, how about you? What challenges have you faced? Or which one challenge have you faced?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that have already been mentioned, we definitely have similar problems. Getting the researchers engaged, getting them to come forward with their data and do the work. People have spoken about that already. I'm seeing a lot of issues with, quote, sensitive data. 101 reasons why the data should not be put up on an open repository, and some of it is legitimately sensitive. But increasingly, we're running into faculty who are telling their grad students that until you've published on the data, you run a significant risk of being scooped if you post the data, so you must not post the data. So there's always a reason why the data will get posted at some point in the future, but not now. The other thing that really concerns me is something that Jeff spoke about this morning, is increasingly both cost and other barriers to getting shared data. Even being able to do research, we've just been negotiating with a major vendor to get the tools that our researchers need to be able to do humanities text-based research. And the vendors have decided, well, yeah, you have all of the text and you could mine it, but we're going to charge you for the data mining tools. And there are 101 ways in which people are finding ways of monetizing or finding ways of preventing data that can be used and shared to create more research data, putting barriers up to, I spoke about, it being part of our service to develop a relationship with government data providers. But as I say, the number of ways in which people can say no to letting their data be shared is getting longer, and it often has to do with, yes, that data is available. There are really useful things you could do to use it for research, but we're going to find some way to extract some more revenue from it before that happens.
Great, thanks, Peter. That's definitely a challenge as well. Yep. And Erin, sorry to leave you for last again.
That's okay. Our challenges are really the same that everybody else is feeling. Probably the challenge I felt the most was, managing research data management with my other role as the liaison librarian for the Faculty of Agriculture in Truro, and getting used to everything, all the services and resources available on the Halifax campus. So personally, that's more of a personal challenge, I guess. But having this team, a team of others, especially in the different disciplines, has been helpful, because I don't know about others, but I find it a challenge, with the sheer variety of different disciplines. Agriculture and related sciences, I'm pretty good with, but then when you bring in, the health data, the Indigenous data, there's all kinds of, arts and social sciences. Having people with that expertise is helpful, and now we're starting to get that. So I would say that would be a challenge. Probably the other thing, and this is more of a personal thing, is managing expectations. And I refer to myself as well, mainly because I see all the things that need to be done, all the things I want to do, but I can't do. So I need to make sure that, that we're offering what we can, and just put it on the roadmap for the future for development. And I think participating in the I'm trying to provide solutions here as I talk. I think participating in the national organizations can help with that also, and the working groups, because we're developing solutions to many of our issues. But yeah, I think managing expectations and stuff too, because we make great progress nationally and locally, but yeah, there's still a lot of work that has to be done. And for me, I can, I see that it's a challenge. It's a good one, but it's like, oh my gosh, our list is getting longer. So yeah, that's probably it.
Awesome, thank you. So just getting people to say one challenge, we've come up with a whole bunch of challenges. So there's a lot of challenges in providing RDM services. The one that I have found is getting the right people at the table at our institution who have the expertise and can make the decisions and get things moving forward. So I found that to be a bit of a challenge. I wanted to open it up to the audience if there are any questions, and then maybe panelists can just jump in and ask or answer. I'm just going to read a couple of comments that were in here. John Aborn Tyson replied to Erin's comment about having librarians on the research ethics boards and how that happened. She was saying they were at a committee where they were talking about vacancies on the REBs and that it would be great to have people who knew about research data management. So it was an easy suggestion to make. And there were 2 librarians that happily took on a lot of extra work to join the REB. So are there any questions for the panelists, or would any of the panelists like to expand on any of the challenges or the services, or throw any questions out to the audience?
I don't know, I guess I'll just say that connecting with the different departments on campus has been really key. And we've been really fortunate that our research office is really great. I think some of them might still be on the call. I'm not sure. I know that there were some today who attended a number of our sessions. And having those relationships has been key, with the institutional strategy. But also, they're engaged and we're engaged, and it's been great to have that involvement. So, reaching out and making those connections is really important.
Yeah, I really liked what you said, Erin, about being a connector, because I find there is so much to know with research data management, and it's overwhelming. And I even took an entire year to learn about that basically, and there's lots I don't know. So being that connector, that's what I found is one of our major services, to connect them to the right IT people that know about active data storage, or the right ethics people that can answer their questions, or that kind of thing, which all goes back to the whole collaboration about knowing who to talk to on campus and who the people are that are interested in it and all that kind of thing.
I am interested in hearing about metadata and what Peter was talking about, because that sounds interesting.
Could you expand on that a little bit, Peter, about your metadata services?
That's one thing I'm in.
As I say, this has been something that that Amy in particular, Lorenz, who's I think done sessions for this group before, she's been involved in. But when you start managing data, often researchers don't have a schema, or if they do have an approach they want to take to organizing their data, it may not be remotely standardized or remotely what their discipline is using. So we've had, not an insubstantial number of people come to us and say, okay, if we want to share this with other botanists, with other, chemists, with other, digital humanists, what metadata standard should we be applying? It's easy if it's Dublin core. It's more difficult if it's going to be something more specific. So, if you are looking at a botany project, you do an environmental scan, you take a look at what's being used in this discipline, and what you want to steer people away from is creating their own. Even if they do at least document it properly so that it can be reused, it's far more useful. A key part of the is not just having the data there, but having it use a metadata set that that can potentially be tied to other people's metadata sets. Sometimes that's specific questions like, how should we document temperature so that other people who are doing work that has a temperature variable can compare our data to theirs. As I say, I think Amy could certainly enlighten us more on that. She's the one who's done more of that work than I have.
Okay, we've actually got a question about Indigenous data in the comments. So does anyone have any experiences with Indigenous data at this point in time? The attendee knows there's been some conversations and discussions around Indigenous data sovereignty, and do these align with our potentially challenges some of the values? Wait, I wonder these sovereignty discussions align with or potentially challenge some of the values libraries typically have around data. So like, I guess like around open data and things like that, but with the conversations around Indigenous data sovereignty, how does that coincide with intellectual property and all that kind of thing? Does anybody have experience with that yet?
Well, I can just speak briefly. I mean, I think most of us or all of us are aware of the OCAP principles. And the Research Data Center for First Nations data that is in Ontario. So obviously with all data sets, there needs to be care taken and attention taken to the originators of the data and the sensitivity of the data. And anytime anyone would be dealing with Indigenous data, I think the very first step is looking at the OCAP principles, applying them, and taking a different track, and hopefully having those data deposited, at least the metadata deposited somewhere, whether it's in the First Nations data center or the metadata in one of our own dataverses. I think there's a huge misconception that all data will always be shared and completely open, and that's just not possible, doable, and as Kim says, it's like the time that it would take to even do that is pretty incredible. So if only we had the capacity to actually do that, would be amazing, but we don't. So yeah, I think that most of us, I believe, are aware of OCAP, and there's a course that you can take too, which is pretty cool. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I know that I haven't had the experience of dealing with any Indigenous data yet, but I know that as we develop our institutional strategy, we have reference to the OCAP principles in that strategy to keep it in the forefront. Anybody else? And Jasmine has posted a link to I don't know what FNIGC, First Nations Indigenous Government of Canada?
First Nations
Maybe?
Indigenous Governance Council.
Governance Center. Right.
Center.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So anyway, the link is posted there if you want to go take a look at OCAP principles. The other thing Jasmine posted in here that it would be cool to have a template for teaching undergrad RDM so we could all implement at our institutions. So that might be something that, the DPSC, the Digital Preservation and Stewardship Committee of CAAL, might want to look at. I can say that because I'm not on that group anymore.
I was gonna say, you've given us more work. No, it's okay.
Yep.
It's a great idea though.
Yeah. And maybe even one for graduate students after that. Well, I guess that would be a lot more specific though, probably. Any other questions or comments from the panelists or the audience? Okay, well then I wanted to thank everybody for attending and presenting, all those who presented today. All of the presentations were wonderful, and I think that there was a lot of information provided today, and a lot of new information for a lot of people, which is great. Also, I think another thing is that we've showcased some of our resources and some of our services, and also some of the people that researchers might want to contact at our institutions. So just having our faces out there and showing people who we are and what we can do for them is great. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for attending. And all of these sessions have been recorded. So they will be edited, like all the breaks taken out and stuff. And they will be up on the CAAL website soon. Cynthia said hopefully tomorrow, but you know, that's pretty quick. That's a big expectation, I think. Anyway, so if there are no other questions, oh, and I also wanted to thank CAAL for the innovation grant that was able to provide the funding for the simultaneous translation today. And yeah, I think that we will all be in touch in the future, as I see this very much as an evolving field, and you know, we're great collaborators and we need to rely on each other to help us through all the next few years, and
Yep.
yeah, encourage and support each other in providing our services.
For the next few years and beyond.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So Sandra Sawchuk is saying she wants to put in a plug for the DLI National Online Training at the end of November. So I know a lot of you are people who look for data as well as people who help get their data published. So yeah, the DLI training is fantastic. I've attended it a couple of times, and there's a lot of good information there as well. And these two fields are starting to merge a bit more, I think.
Yeah, so the training this year will be open to everyone. I wasn't trying to plug it to all the attendees, but please, for anyone who's interested, there's a webpage out there. And if you're on any of the data listservs, just watch for that, lightning talks, etc. So hope to see some of your faces there, because it seems like everything is going to be online for the next foreseeable future. Sadly.
Looks like it, yeah. And if you're ever interested in other research data management presentations or workshops or anything like that, get in touch with your institution's librarians, and we'll be able to point you to loads of different resources, because there's so much of this stuff happening right now. Or check out the Portage website.
Actually, there is one related to one of the questions on Indigenous data tomorrow. It's with RDC webinar on data ownership series part 2, Indigenous data ownership. I am not sure how I can share that. It came out through RDC Canada a couple weeks ago, and I registered for it. So October 22nd, 1 p.m. Eastern time. See if I can find it somewhere and maybe plunk it in the chat.
Yeah, that would be great. I just got a notification of that one as well, telling me, reminding me that I've registered for that for tomorrow. Thanks.
Okay, I have it now. I'm just going to put it in the chat. Okay, so it is under webinar series. So just scroll down a little bit. It's one of their 5-part series. I attended the first one last week. It was really good. All these RDC and Portage webinars have been hugely informative, and I learned at least 2 or 3 major things at every session. So yeah, part 2, Indigenous research data, is tomorrow, and Stacy, Alison Casson from York, Joel Heath, Arctic Eider Society, and Lisa Bickley from Dal is going to be there also. So yeah, this would be particularly of interest for some people, I think.
Great. Thanks, Erin. Thanks for putting that in. Yeah, and if you go to that page, I think you can sign up for alerts when there are other webinars and things. Okay, so I guess we'll sign off now. Thank you all to all of our panelists, as well as to all our attendees. I think it's been a great day. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.